They must take control strongly and immediately of the unmitigated immigration disaster and the fake energy catastrophe before it's too late. The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down a path of total destruction. You know, the carbon footprint was a big, big thing a few years ago. I remember hearing about the carbon footprint.
Too many liquids going in the babies. Okay.
Right, all that liquid. He has, you know what? He has trouble talking about anything that is in liquid form.
Yes.
He can't talk about water. When he talks about water, yeah.
The hurricane.
Hurricanes are water dumps. He once said it's the hurricane is the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Yeah, and no one speaks from the standpoint of water anymore, and I think that's important.
One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
What is
Liquids confuse him.
It's one of his many verbal weaknesses. And it's only getting worse, by the way, as evidenced by "it can only good happen," which, by the way, I had to write down. I'm showing it on Free Speech TV. So I can't, because I can't talk like that. No human being can speak in that kind of butchered way. Yes. It can only good happen.
But
it's 45% of the American voting population thinks he's a genius.
Right. Yeah, hang on. I think I did one too. Okay. Uh-oh. Hang on a second. Well, I was going to make it a guess the quote, Bob, but okay.
We have to make notes on these things.
Said, in the U.S., we have radicalized environmentalists. They want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. They want to kill all the cows. We have a border strong. We have a shape, and that shape doesn't go straight up. It's amorphous. We have the cleanest air we've had in many years. Who said that?
We have a border strong. You know what? That reminds me of Sarah Palin. The day after that vice presidential debate in 2008, it was Sarah Palin and Joe Biden. Sarah Palin described the powers of the presidency as the powers of the vice presidency as position flexible. That was an actual quote on television the day after that debate. The powers of the vice presidency are position flexible. So here
people
we
often
are,
say
things only get worse.
Right.
He's speaking words, just not in the order they're supposed to go in or something.
Just,
it's right.
Refrigerator magnets.
Like a Scrabble
around.
board exploded. You're like, no, those don't go in that order. Okay. Here's the thing. In terms of our right and left-wing bubbles, I guess, Bob, John Corbett said, he reposted the New York Post headline, "Defiant, emotional Jimmy Kimmel fails to apologize for Charlie Kirk comments as he returns to ABC." And he said, this is why we can't have nice things. No matter how much Jimmy Kimmel tried to reach out across the partisan divide, tribal media outlets on the other tribe consistently offer the worst, most dishonest possible take for their consumers. So for people that didn't watch Jimmy Kimmel, they're like, they just take for granted what the right-wing media says he said.
Oh, yeah. And let's be clear, this is not so much about what Jimmy Kimmel said or didn't say. This is entirely about a dictator very clearly violating the free speech clause of the First Amendment and doubling down this morning on Truth Central, saying that he's going to continue to try to coerce ABC into firing Jimmy Kimmel. So that is the textbook definition of what the president, the government cannot do in a constitutional republic.
Yeah.
And yet he's going there and he's saying it out loud. Trump always makes things worse for Trump. This is a gigantic abuse of power impeachment article getting lined up for when the time comes, and I underscore the word when.
Well, speaking of which,
it will.
And to the point of the Gavin Newsom clip we played for you, Bob, Ron Filipowski says Dems kept their streak of outperforming election results from 2024 in the two key special elections last night. Adelita Grijalva won by 17 points, more than her father in the Arizona congressional race. Deborah Shigley overperformed the 2024 Democratic candidate in the Georgia State Senate race by 11 points. This is why they're panicking, Bob. I think they feel this blue tsunami coming, right?
Yeah.
And also, that's the vote for the Epstein files. That was the one last vote we needed.
Absolutely. And so speaking of the Epstein files, I think that's one of the cases where they're trying to distance themselves, at least surreptitiously, away from Donald Trump. Because I think if the Republicans were smart, they would start to back away slowly from Donald Trump, or quickly, as the case may be, because Donald Trump and his horrendous dictatorial taint is going to make them all lose their jobs. I meant that in the descriptive sense, not the.
You meant that in a dirty way.
Sorry.
Yeah, not in a dirty way. But yeah. But what's going to happen is they're all going to lose their jobs next year if they don't distance themselves from Donald Trump, and hopefully they won't. Hopefully they'll continue to grapple themselves onto Donald Trump's pant leg throughout the next year, and that'll be bad news for them at the midterms.
So you were just on fire on the socials, as they say. John Cryer said, "I'm glad Jimmy's back, but Brendan Carr still needs to resign." And you said, "White House ketchup alert level, thermonuclear."
Oh yeah. I'm sure there was a disaster as soon as he discovered, which maybe he didn't learn about it until last night or this morning. So maybe that ketchup alert level was a little bit premature. Yeah.
Well, by the way, I love you retweeted Andrew Weinstein. We started with this, Bob. He said, "Channel the energy you used to get Jimmy Kimmel back on the air into getting more Democrats elected." And if yesterday's any indication, that's happening, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. This is an all-hands-on-deck situation. Once again, we find ourselves in an extraordinarily important election because, once again, it means the difference between democracy and tyranny. And the chances of it being tyranny are shockingly significant. That's the most disturbing aspect of where we find ourselves, the fact that even the slightest glitch in the process of conducting the next election could mean the absolute end of democracy, which is already an endangered species. I mean, we're talking about democracy that hangs by the smallest of threads.
And isn't it sort of extraordinary in one day, like the heart and humor and eloquence of Jimmy Kimmel, a late-night comedian, as you Trump to the UN, "I've ended 7 unendable wars," and you just said he continues to be a staggering embarrassment. I mean, this speech at the UN was just what you would expect, but even worse, right?
Oh, yeah. It was one of his rallies. He just started into one of his rallies.
Everything into a MAGA rally, a UN speech, a Charlie Kirk memorial. It's just, that's the thing, Bobby. I was thinking yesterday, he doesn't ever govern. He just campaigns, which is why Gavin Newsom is right in saying, we're not going to have an election in 2028 unless you pay attention. You had Lindsey Graham yesterday saying, I'm all in, Trump 2028. I mean.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of his major flaws. That's one of the things that gives us this aforementioned tyranny, which is because Donald Trump doesn't understand the difference between campaigning and governing. Once the campaign is over, certainly you have things in mind politically. That's the nature of the beast. But the fact of the matter is, once you become president, you kind of put the campaigning on the back burner.
Right.
You become a leader at that point, and you're not there trying to win an election. You're not there trying to defeat your opponents, because your opponents are the people you're presiding over. You're tasked with defending all of the American people, and with it the Constitution, of course.
Yeah.
And that's something that Donald will never understand, because he's on this perpetual campaign. He's on this perpetual me. I've always got to come out on top. I've always got to get vengeance on my enemies. I've got this frail, brittle ego that I'm constantly trying to buttress. It's horrendous. And so that's where the overreach takes place.
Yeah, I mean, and then we go to this horribly embarrassing Tylenol press conference, whatever that was. You quoted him, there are parts of the world that don't take Tylenol. There's a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that Cuba, they don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol, and so they have virtually no autism, okay? Tell me about that one. And you said also, rumor has it that Italy, there's virtually no Sasquatch in Italy, so they don't have any Wendy's restaurants there, okay? Tell me about that one. I mean, this is where we are working. Cuba has to release a statement.
Yeah.
It's because the CNN Havana bureau chiefs wrote an article calling the president's comments bizarre and false. First of all, because they don't have, the infrastructure for the diagnostic. They don't diagnose it as much in Cuba. But that doesn't mean they don't have Tylenol and they don't have autism, right?
Absolutely. There aren't a whole lot of studies about autism in Cuba. That's just not something that's a priority for Cuba. The other thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there sanctions against Cuba where you can't sell certain products in Cuba?
Right.
So maybe they don't have a lot of Tylenol in Cuba because you can't buy Tylenol in Cuba. I don't know.
And the Cuban guy goes, anyone that has Google can can find out that there is autism in Cuba. But I mean, he's just such a dunce, and it's so endlessly embarrassing when you think you're, done being embarrassed.
Just an empty suit into which you can pump all kinds of BS. And it's like, that's the common thread among many of the MAGA leadership. No one is worse at that front than Jesse Waters, who you can put, like Ron Burgundy, you can put whatever nonsense up on the teleprompter, and Jesse Waters like, bring it in. I got to read that. Whatever insanity that is, let me have it. And that's one of the many dangers of this, that you can be utterly soulless and get away with it. And that, in fact, that becomes heroism in the MAGA movement.
You also tweeted about him not being able to pronounce acetaminophen. You said first time he's ever seen the word, obviously, and yet Dum Dum is establishing a bro-science policy about a thing he can't pronounce and is clearly never heard of. I mean, we put it to music because...
I said, well, let's see how we say that.
Okay.
Acetaminophen. Tylenol.
It's the only reason he said a brand name that can easily sue the bejesus out of him is because he couldn't pronounce the other thing. So
it would have been would have worked out better for him if it was printed on the page in magnified fortune. If he would have been able to see the word and pronounce it better if it was in magnified fortune, which is something that Donald Trump actually said one time.
Right, to refer to instant replay in football. Yeah. He said they have tapes.
In magnified fortune.
Right, tapes in
magnified tape. He's talking about instant replay in football, refers to it as magnified fortune. So acetaminophen and not being able to pronounce it, and in fact seeing it on a page for the very first time in his entire life, obviously.
No, Bob, this is not totally recent. The fact that is the ultimate punct. That all of this coverage of Biden, when this has been going on forever with Trump, he has made no sense forever. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's just yesterday. I mean, oh my God! And did you see his hands again? Holy crap!
Yep.
Just to be clear about this, the wheel out of that insane policy about Tylenol yesterday was specific to the name brand Tylenol. So if you're one of his dumb supporters, and you've got a headache and you happen to be pregnant, you're going to go into the store and you're just going to buy generic acetaminophen. You're like, well, it's not Tylenol, because Donald Trump was talking about Tylenol. And why was he talking about Tylenol all day yesterday? Because he couldn't pronounce acetaminophen. And so now they're probably going to be MAGA voters who are pregnant who are still going to take acetaminophen just because it's not the Tylenol name brand.
God. All right. And
that's
finally,
how dumb all of that was, and many other reasons.
I need a Tylenol for how dumb this timeline is. I keep getting those headaches
Stephanie,
in both eyes.
it can only good happen.
Yes, right. Exactly my point. Because there's too many liquids going into me. Okay.
All those liquids.
Yeah. Finally,
they're the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of liquids.
Right. Yeah. Also, you retweeted, release the Homan tapes. He took a big bag of cash. He took a big bag of cash.
Yeah.
I'm getting really good at translating from Homan to English.
Are you?
Yes. In fact,
did you grow up with Tom Carvel commercials as well? Because that's how I've learned to translate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's selling ice cream, is what he's doing. That's how. If you see it through the lens, everything he's saying, he's selling Fudgy the Whale and Cookie Puss. Cookie Puss is the
all right,
classic Carvel thing. But now he's shopping at Cava. He's eating at Cava restaurants. Tom Hartmann loves shawarma because it's totally on brand for him. I don't know.
That's how I got Sean to fill in this week. I gave him a big bag of Kava cash. Just put a big bag of cash out there.
$50,000, which is something else Donald is doing these days. Writing instead, in the latest thing about Jimmy Kimmel, he writes $16 million. Yeah, okay.
All right. Yeah.
He doesn't know. He's the guy. He's the financial genius, but he doesn't know how to write money on a page, on a trope.
I think his stroke is having a stroke at this point.
I'm having a stroke.
I recommend Tylenol. Yes. All right, love you, Bob.
Yes. Oh, by the way, trekpolitics.com to listen to me and Mary Trump talking about Star Trek.
It's back.
We're back. All new episodes. Yes.
It's back. And the Bob Sesser Show, I literally, this is true, Chris, I never miss it. I never miss the Bob Sesser Show. If you're a homeowner in America, you need to listen to this. The FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud on the rise called title theft. Yikes. And your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals can forge your signature on
on a single document, use a fake notary stamp, file it with the county, and just like that, on record, they own your home. Using your ownership, they can take out loans against your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know about it until a foreclosure or a collection notice shows up in your mail. Yeah, that's why I have partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can protect your equity and find out today if you're already a victim. Go now to HometitleLock.com/Stephanie. You'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of all of your title records, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud occurs, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. Go to HometitleLock.com/Stephanie. One more time, that's HometitleLock.com/Stephanie.